Hello, everybody. My name is Drew Dosek, and welcome to Trading the Close. Welcome back to the markets on Monday. And today we had a nice float up, and then we had some stocks really under pressure. We're going to get into those today. We had AMD rocket up, Bitcoin hit new all-time highs this weekend, gold's hitting all-time highs. What's not hitting all-time highs is really a better question. So let's get into the market summary board, check out what's happening. Oh, but before I do, Jerome Powell will speak on Thursday of this week at 10:30 in the morning. We do also have a Fed Vice Chair speaking tomorrow at 10 o'clock in the morning. Both of those speeches could provide some volatility, at least more insight as to what the Federal Reserve is thinking regarding some of the rate cuts that are going to be scheduled in the very near future. So let's check out the market summary board, see where everything panned out today. We got the Dow Jones down slightly, down 0.16%. Nasdaq up 0.80%, mainly by Micron and AMD ripping higher on the day. S&P 500 up 0.45%. U.S. oil up 1.78%. We're going to get right back to that trend line, folks. We'll see that chart here in a moment. And gold up 1.94%, getting ever so closer to that $4,000 target, but it is right into a resistance trend line. And Bitcoin, as we highlighted, up 1.53%, over $125,000 as we speak. So let's jump into the S&P 500 heat map, see where all these individual stocks are playing today. NVIDIA down 1% off the back of news of AMD and Open AI partnership. That did see some selling pressure today. So did AVGO, down 0.76%. Tesla had a great rebound of 5.36%. Google and Microsoft up near 2% each, as well as Oracle. Palantir up 3.8%. Nice push there on it. Walmart, Amazon up about 0.5%. Costco down 0.5% as well. The rest is kind of a mixed bag. You see some greens here in utilities, a little bit of red in, green and gray in the screen in finance. Health technology, which has been really hot recently, is starting to see some profit taking come in. All right, guys, so let's look at the S&P 500. Here's what the title of the show is today, guys. A little warning, and it is a little one, guys. It's not the biggest of topping tails, but there's no doubt about it. On Friday, we did have a topping tail that was posted here in the markets, as you see here with this red flag at 6750. 6,750 points. If we do close above that, that obviously will negate this topping tail. But usually when you have a topping tail at the highs of charts, that should be monitored for further downside pressure, at least in the immediate near term. This doesn't mean we're going to crash. That doesn't mean anything like that. It just means it could be the start of a downward movement in the markets, taking some profits. And guys, this is also a time count. This is something I teach and mastering the overnight trade, the sleeper hold. Time counts work through charts, whether it's the S&P 500, NVIDIA, AVGO, you name it. But when we get in modes of animal spirits, man, stocks can rip, but you'll ultimately find that they do follow order. There is order within the chaos of these charts. My course will help you find all of that information. Next up, just showing the S&P 500, because we've got a different parallel on this chart. You can see here this parallel is stretched out all the way back to the COVID lows. You can see here a COVID low here, and it's really contained all the pivots, whether it be up, down, on the downside here in November of 2023, as well as the April lows, because we obviously witnessed that this year with a huge plunge starting there in February, continuing through March and ending in the beginning of April, highlighted right there with inside of this parallel. Now, I've also got an inclining yellow trend line taken from August of 22, connected over to the pivots here in December of 2024. You can see that's where price is, and that's where we registered a topping tail. So that is to be respected, at least for the near term. Even if we beat this topping tail, the next resistance is not far away, right up here at 676.80. So be mindful of that. Oftentimes when I do see and witness tops in markets, it could be a rolling top. And again, I'm not saying an all-time high top and then we're going to the lows. It's just whenever you get corrections, you generally can start to have several days of topping tails, because what's happening are you're sorting out the buy the dippers. You're having one side of the trade with investors selling these nice rips, and then the other side that still thinks the momentum will continue. So it can generate multiple topping tails. Be watching in the coming days if this topping tail is taken out, and then the next resistance area, roughly right up here at $676.80, or right around $677. Next up on the Qs. Now the Qs have done really good, pushing above this inclining trend line that you see here. Even today, closing above this chop of these 2 days where we did also close above. So this is actually a strong close. A little divergence going on here. This almost implies the Qs have more to go, but then I look straight down here at the bottom of the screen. This is the relative strength indicator. We're right back in the 70s, which is overbought territory. Now that doesn't mean we're going to sell immediately. However, there's a little divergence going on here, which does imply also just a little bit of a turn down to come. So be mindful of that. A lot of people think of October as Uptober, and just be mindful. We're up so much. This could be an ideal scenario for major institutions to start taking profit and moving their price targets elsewhere. So be mindful of that as the retail investor. Next up, the SMH. You can see here the SMH. Guys, this chart is incredible. Let me just display it to you on the weekly time frame. You can see and understand what I'm talking about. Look at these last several weeks on the SMH. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, now 6 weeks straight up on the charts. Now we did consolidate in this time frame right here, so it did build momentum. All of these attempts that I was walking you through over the past several months of price breaking into this parallel kept getting rejected, breaking in, kept getting rejected, breaking in, kept getting rejected. All of that time frame was momentum building to allow this wounded coil. Just picture it like that, just like you're winding this coil and all this pressure is building up, and then it releases and boom, big, huge rocket ship up. Now, so far this week, it's only Monday, folks, but we did open higher. Price is starting to come in, and we also are above this inclining trend line that you see here, taken from the high pivot of the week of March 24th. So let's zoom in on the daily chart and see where that is. You can see we did close beneath this trend line on Friday, but then today we gapped up and moved higher. For this sort of momentum to continue, we need to get tomorrow or the following trading day to close above this candle. If we do, we're moving up to 358.26 right there at the top of the parallel channel. If we don't have that occur, we're vulnerable for price to come down back underneath this inclining trend line, because this is only minor support right now. We haven't had a confirming move with price pushing higher on the chart, just a beautiful gap up higher, and then price has since now corrected, coming right back in. We'll see where price action takes us tomorrow. Next up, the IWM. You can see here IWM both on Friday and today. We're trying to fight to get above this topping tail displayed on the charts back from Tuesday, September 23rd. We haven't had that happen yet. You can see the high of 247.18 has not been taken out with a close. We closed today here at $246.81. And if you notice here as well, we've got another extended move moving right up into the topping tail. And also we've got this 50% area of the parallel that will serve as resistance and this inclining trend line. So there's a lot of resistance in the immediate future for the IWM. Be watching for either some pullback action or consolidation to build that momentum to move up higher. But no doubt about it, the small cap stocks have had a tremendous run, especially ones tied with any AI data center plays, whether it be power, semiconductors, etc. Those stocks have really ripped higher, and those stocks are all mainly under $10 billion in market cap. Next up, we've got the Dow Jones. We did finally take out this topping tail on Friday, but you can see here price is getting rejected by this inclining trend line. Now this is peculiar because we've had price break this inclining trend line. And just to show you, to go back on the charts for anybody that's a newer watcher, this trend line's going all the way back to the April lows, right? So this was displaying the trajectory of price action. And then all of a sudden here, when this topping tail was made on Tuesday, September 23rd, we broke that trend line. And notice the wedge of how tight price action got. And we were either going to break up or we were going to break down. So far, we've broken down, taken out the topping tail, so we'll delete that. But then price action is now moving back up, consolidating underneath this trend line. A little bit of mixed signals here. Whenever we consolidate under a trend line, it generally means that you're going to break higher above that trend line. But we already broke down from this inclining trend line. So these usually, whenever you break down, you like to have price retest the trend line, and then more selling pressure commences. But since we took out the topping tail and we're consolidating, a little bit of mixed signals here on the Dow Jones. Can't lie about it. But if we do start selling, expect some support down here at 45,946 points. Next up, we've got Bitcoin. Now, looky here, Bitcoin, guys. Called this out just the other week about this inverse head and shoulders pattern. And on Wednesday of last week, when price ripped higher right through this neckline, I said, guys, the trade is on. Bitcoin's likely going up here to $127,459. Now, please keep in mind as well, these measured moves don't always get to the target. And yes, I say it measured. I may mispronounce it. That's just how it is. I can't say it correctly, but it will be distinguishable. And you can recognize and remember this too, because I love patterns that carry measured moves with them. They give me targets for an ideal scenario in place to take profits. Now, a place that I would like to take profit if I was in Bitcoin long, which I am, and I believe it will go higher. But if it was a short-term trade, I would be targeting right here on the top end of this parallel channel. Yes, it's shorter than the measured move. However, sometimes those measured moves only reach up about 80%. So there could be situations like this where we don't necessarily tag the measured move. We'll see how this plays out with Bitcoin in the coming days. There's no doubt about it that there's been a lot of interest in cryptocurrency. Check out this 10-minute chart as well, and I'll zoom it up a little bit larger. You can see the selling pressure that took place on Bitcoin when we were trying to get out of this parallel. It was a rocket ship up and then almost immediately jumping right back down into the water right here. Price action then fought over the last day to get right back above this parallel channel. That does lead me to believe there still is a decent chance of us hitting that measured move target up here at $127,459. As long as we're having closing days above that parallel, that bodes well for the near term on Bitcoin. All right, guys. So be mindful of that. And then also I want to point out, just like we were conveying over on the Dow Jones chart, we've got a trend line here on Bitcoin on the hourly chart that has now broken after busting out of this parallel. Price action still hasn't gotten up to that trend line, but if it does, it will likely be tagging that measured move, which does make sense, guys. When trend lines break, they like to retest, and then we're going to go from there, whether we put in bullish consolidation or we have price action falling back down on the charts. So be mindful of that targeted measured move there on Bitcoin. Next up, gold. Guys, look at this. Gold up again, not quite at 4,000. It made a high today of $3,970. Look down here at the bottom of the screen. Ridiculous relative strength indicator, 83.8 on the charts. Plus, if I scroll back, check this out. A very beautiful inclining trend line taken from April of 2024, connected over to the pivot of April of 2025, 1 year interval, and then bam, there we are right into that trend line today in October. So impressive move on gold nonetheless, but we're getting closer to a point where we should start having some sort of downward pressure or at least consolidation occur, considering how extended it is on the chart. Truly remarkable what's going on there in gold, as well as in silver. We're getting close to the all-time highs in silver. Prices up here at $48.53. You can see now busting through all of these what were resistance areas now have flipped into support. So this is a minor area of support at $46.79. But with this upward momentum, it is pointing a path right here to this $49.83 target. We'll see if that pierces, actually tags the $50 mark, and then starts having some downward pressure. If so, the first area of support, as I say, it is going to be minor. It's here at $46.79. Next up, U.S. oil. Back to this chart again, back to this declining trend line that we've talked about for so long. Last week, we plunged through, and this also was a time count scenario where it is understandable we're getting a little bit of a bounce. Now, we didn't get a full bounce, nor did we get down to the $59.50 major support area that I was targeting for this drop under the trend line, but this drop may not be over yet. You're noticing where price closed today, right there on the trend line. So when price closes on the trend line, we're not right back up inside. We're simply retesting the area that we just broke. So the selling pressure may not be over with oil. We'll see if we get that drop down to that support area I've been talking about at $59.50 in the near future. Otherwise, if we gap back inside this trend line, we're going to be experiencing a lot of the similar price action that we've been discovering and conveying over the past several months. Next up, we've got natural gas. Natural gas at the current state is a little bit near-term overbought, especially because of this extended move straight up into these areas of resistance. Today, we did try again to get above where the candle price was at on Thursday of last week. You can see a lot of selling pressure up here with these wicks, trying to keep price right around this resistance area at $3.57. The good thing, if you're a bull in that gas, we did go up above this trend line and then we retested it. So it makes sense today. We had a nice bounce, but still a lot of sellers are persisting right here. If you're a bull, I would want to see more sideways consolidation. That will help build the momentum for a move up here to $3.83. If we break this declining trend line, the next area of support is going to be $3.38. Now, next up, AMD. Now, guys, AMD came out today and announced that they have a partnership with Open AI. Now, this is really interesting. Open AI, they have some thresholds to meet over the time frame with this partnership, but AMD is offering them a warrant to buy stocks in AMD for 1 penny. And we're talking about millions of shares, guys, not just a handful or anything, but in essence, 10% of the stake of the company, because OpenAI and AMD are going to start collaborating on more projects. Now, AMD, as I said, gave OpenAI thresholds to meet, so it's not like they're going to release all those shares for them to buy right now. OpenAI's got to do production in order to qualify to buy those shares. But nonetheless, if AMD is going to be giving up all these shares for 1 penny, that's going to be diluting the stock. And as you can see here, there's excitement over this announcement with a huge surge up over 30% at one point today. Today we closed at $23.71. But investors started to realize, oh my gosh, this could ultimately bring down the price on AMD. Now, that doesn't discount the desire and demand for AMD's products, but it's just simply a little bit of manipulation into this stock, what might happen with dilution, right? And also with this chart, I brought this up last week. I was showing how price was going up on this trend line. We broke it and we started putting in a bear flag. Notice what happens when there's a failed move, folks. Please, please, please ingrain this in your brain. Yes, this was a bear flag pattern that was forming on the chart, looking like we were about to go down all the way to $127.27. But when that bear flag pattern fails, we have some of the biggest moves in the opposite direction, clearly displayed here on the chart of AMD. Now, the other part, notice this inclining trend line where price broke. We were up above it today, but now we're beneath it. So still, we're in that state of basically a retest to the trend line. First area of support, if selling pressure continues, is going to be here at $191.25. Followed by all the way down here at $169.32. I'm unsure it gets there unless we have a decent market correction. So any bulls in AMD and you're not in it yet, be looking around $191.25 for your first opportunity to at least pick up a few shares. Next up, we've got NVIDIA. Now, NVIDIA, they immediately started falling off of this news. If I flip over to the 10-minute chart, you can see too, price, the first candle out of the day, we plunged all the way down to 183.32, quickly recovered though. A lot of investors don't want to give up their NVIDIA, nor are they going to be interested in selling. So we had a lot of buyers come in, really save the price action and come up here on the charts. And you notice we've got a near-term declining trend line that's really been holding down price. You can see from 1 pivot, 2 pivots, 3 pivots, now 4 pivots. Now this is an awkwardly shaped inverse head and shoulders pattern that could take us right back up to where this consolidation pattern was, roughly around $190. Be watching to see if NVIDIA does break this trend line at $185.91 in the coming days. And if it does, we could be having a little bit more upside there for NVIDIA, at least off this technical pattern. Next up, AVGO. We've got some mega caps for Monday, folks. And I wanted to bring this to your attention because, again, this inclining trend line has been broken. We surged up above it, and then now it's broken again here on AVGO. Over the last 3 trading days, though, we did pop up, looking like we're starting to put in consolidation to potentially go a little bit higher. Next area of resistance is going to be up here at 358.92. But notice that this is going to be a lot of resistance here with this trend line, this consolidation, this previous pivot high, and also if it breaks through, another trend line of resistance. So a lot of resistance up here for AVGO, looking like it's more probable for price to come down here to $317.54, first level of support, followed by this other trend line here, just under $300, which should be a great area to scoop up some AVGO. Next up, Microsoft. Now, Microsoft, this is an interesting pattern I'm seeing here on the charts, folks. We've got an inverse head and shoulders pattern that does take us up just underneath the previous all-time high pivot. This measured move pattern will take us up to $548 on Microsoft. And you notice that we have already triggered it, right? We triggered it here, and then we had a nice accelerated push up on the chart here of Microsoft. So keep in mind, there's going to be some stocks that are under pressure and other stocks that are going to be winners. That's how it is in the market. We have some winners going up, marching up through their charts after decent pullbacks like what we've seen here on Microsoft. So there still is potential for upside plays in this market, even if we have a few down days that are around the corner. Speaking of down days, guys, look at this. APP announced late this afternoon that there's an investigation going on regarding how they gathered data from their users. And the SEC is looking into it. It's a probe that's going on. And when this news hit, check out this 10-minute chart, guys. Whoa, kerplunk right there on the charts. We were trading up here at $668. We dropped all the way under $550, folks, before getting a decent bounce up, closing the day at $586.77. Post-market, investors are anxious to get out. Drop price by 12 bucks, as you see, now trading at $574. Incredible move on APP. So where's the next support? And I'll show you. We already tagged the first area right here at 557. Next area of support will be this pivot high at $522, $524, followed by this inclining parallel channel. That will be the most solid area of support, right around $470 on the chart. All right, guys, what a day. What a lot of movement, a little bit of whipsaw action going on with some of those stocks like you've seen in APP. Awesome to have you guys tune in. Thank you so much for doing it. Please like and subscribe to the video. Send it off to your friends and family so that they too can understand charts and become financially independent. I'll see you guys tomorrow, but until then, see you on the charts as well. You guys take care. Thanks so much.